Thank you. No, thank you so much. I'd like to accept this award on behalf of all of my students for being the greatest third-year band director of all time. That's right, I did everything absolutely perfectly. Didn't mess up, not one thing. Navigated the pandemic flawlessly. We didn't even skip a beat. Everything was fantastic. No. Let's talk about what I've learned in the past crazy year that has been 2020, and hopefully some tips that will help you navigate the more tricky sections of being a band director. This is just a trophy that was given to me graciously when I left Panther Creek as the assistant band director. It's the trophy from when we took the bands to Disney to perform. I'm just gonna set it down over here. So again, welcome everybody to part 3 of Dear Future Band Directors. It seems to be an ongoing series now. Every year in December, I pull out the camera and I talk about the things that I've learned. Normally we would have just finished up winter concerts and I would have great photos and videos to share with you, but it's the pandemic, so we haven't had an ensemble concert. We did some solo and ensemble, like small ensemble winter showcase stuff. And it went really well. It was live streamed on the internet. The students that stepped up really did a great job, so super proud of them. But on to what I learned this year. That's what you're really here for. If you don't know, I'm a high school band director. This is my 3rd year in teaching. We're right in the middle of it. And of course, right in time for the pandemic and everything that has hit. So, dear future band directors, here's some of the things that I've learned over the past year. Okay. First thing is first. Band culture is everything, right? From the way your students interact with each other, to the expectations they have about themselves and of me as a director, and also of their peers, the way they interact with their instrument every time they pick it up, the way they approach music, the way they approach challenges, the sort of demeanor of the band program, all of that is the culture of the band program. And it's not something that just exists. You have to teach it and you have to place it upon your students in a way that makes them want to be a part of it and start, thriving and building the culture themselves. A little goes a long way here. How do we hold our instruments? How do we treat others? How do we rehearse, right? How do we act when another person's on the podium? How do we treat fundamentals and warm-ups? All of these things, the things they put value in, all this is taught from you, and it's super, super crucial that you have a great band culture, especially at a time like this. And if you probably don't have it now, you should probably start working on it. It really shows and pays in dividends now that we are apart. What are your kids doing to assist in this time when we can't always be together and function as normally as we normally do? There are bad band cultures out there. You have a teacher that always yells at students, a teacher that doesn't provide any sort of feedback. There are is the teacher lying about how great the kids are? Oh, that was great. And it was definitely not, with no constructive feedback. I'm not saying yell at a kid, but tell them the truth. They value that. Being genuine with the students, kindness and compassion, and all of these sorts of things that really stem from you as a director, right? It's like you are like the roots of the tree and then the branches go out and grow up into the kids, and whatever you've got, you're the seed right down there with whatever happens, it's on you. What sort of culture are you setting? And just the community aspect of it all. What sort of relationships, professional relationships are you developing with your students, and what sort of relationships are your students developing with other students in the program? And that itself will sort of give you an idea of what kind of culture you are setting. While we want kids to play great right now, especially during this pandemic, which I hope we're near the end of, we want kids to play great. We want them to do that. But when we finally get back together and we finally get to start doing dipping our toes back into the pool before it's an all swim and everybody gets to swim around in the whole pool instead of just dip their toes in, it's super important that we're building community, that community aspect. And while it's great to focus on fundamentals, I think at this time, kids need that community more than anything. And yes, still focus on the good things, warming up and fundamentals and tone quality and all of those things, but make sure that the kids are having a constructively great time and getting to actually communicate with others, because they've definitely missed it and missed playing music together. So when you finally get back together, make sure that they're having a good time. Every single band program has been affected by this year. Every single one of them, right? Some of the bigger bands in Texas, if you they had their, marching band whatevers, and they had protocols, and it may not look like they've been affected. And I can't speak because I'm on the outside, but I'm sure everybody has been affected in some way, shape, or form. Some of the smaller bands have been hit more than the bigger bands, right? We worry about our recruitment. We worry about the quality, our kids' skills happening. How are the middle school kids doing, right? Like 6th grade, have they gotten the start they needed with this year kind of being what it has been, right? And middle schoolers attempting to navigate getting online and learning to play their instruments and keeping that motivation, especially in the rural setting where internet is always not the greatest. So smaller schools will struggle. So while we all worry about, hey, what's my band program gonna be like in X amount of time when things are back to normal? What's gonna be hurting? How can I help fix this? It's really, everybody's being affected by it. I know nobody in Virginia had a marching band season this year. Like, there were no competitions, nothing like that. In fact, some of them are doing it in the spring. Some of us are starting something that looks like it now, just so we can all be together and maybe rehearse one day a week after school. So everybody's been affected by it. And I think it's how you kind of take it and seize the opportunities that you can right now and give the kids, again, something somewhat normal in a time of abnormal, and time to socially interact with their peers in person, which is something they've probably missed for a very, very, very long time. So don't worry too much. Everybody has been affected by it, and just keep doing your best and seeking advice from mentors. And no one's ever had this happen to them in the history of people that are alive right now, in terms of teachers. So yeah, keep being innovative and keep working on it, and we'll see what happens. But take a deep breath and breathe. Point number 3, even though we've talked about having fun, make sure you set goals for yourself and the program, right? Too often, I think we kind of go in blind, and we just kind of go year after year, and we're trying to build and build and build, which is great. I mean, I've talked to many great band directors out there that have done that, but the things that they've said is, I wish that I had the smarts, the idea to plan and have set goals for myself and for the kids at like a 2-year mark, a 3-year mark, a 5-year mark, whatever it is, right? So for me this year, I took the time to sit down, and we all know that writing down goals makes it so it's writing down, typing down, putting the goal in some sort of written fashion, where you can look at it, holds you more accountable, and you're more likely to achieve that goal, or work towards it in the very least. So this year I took some time to write down some 5-year goals for myself and the program and see where we're gonna be. Has that definitely been affected by the pandemic? Absolutely, but we're not gonna stop trying. And if you know me, I am an optimist, and when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So we're gonna keep on going, and if we don't reach those goals, then that's, at least we tried and we gave it our best, and we'll, keep making goals and keep trying to achieve those goals. And knowing that it's not for loss, that it's a springboard into the next success. Well, why didn't we make it? And that really helps us formulate what we're gonna be doing next. Point number 4, take care of yourself. As a band director, take care of yourself. I'll be honest, the past 2.5 years, wherever we're at now, because we're in the middle of year 3, I probably haven't taken very good care of myself. I should, not 2.5, 2 years. And then once the pandemic hit, I got to talk to some really great band directors and kind of professionally developed in this isolation. And so many of them were talking about pouring from an empty cup. There were so many times I just gave selflessly, gave, and I didn't take care of myself in those first 2 years. And then I decided I want to start working out again like I did in college, and I need to take care of myself so I can better take care of others. It sounds selfish, but it's so very true that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. I'm working out at least 2 days a week. And I know that's not a lot, but I'm slowly progressing what I'm doing. So hopefully I'll get it to 3 days, and then it'll just be normal, right? And then my schedule's all messed up because school's doing some weird things. I'm trying to make it so that I've been consistent, and I have been consistent since I believe like August or late July. So it's been really great to feel better and to be running a 5K every Sunday, to be working out Wednesday mornings, and to be doing all that sorts of stuff. So I highly recommend, please, future band directors and current band directors and those looking for advice, take care of yourself. Eating right, taking time for you. You don't always have to be at the office. I'm not saying do a bad job. I'm just saying take some time for yourself and take care of yourself. All right, number 5, steal from others. Please steal from others. And I don't mean go out to your neighbor and like take their lawn gnome. I don't mean that at all. I mean, whenever you're around really great teachers, whenever you have that opportunity to either talk to them, be around them, observe them, steal some of their knowledge and techniques, right? I think that's one of the biggest things I also teach my kids is if you see really great band programs, if you see, oh man, that band from XYZ was really great, and then, well, the question is why? Start observing, start watching. What can you just take in from being around them? Or if you could ask them questions. Same thing for me and being a band director, right? You want to make sure that, like, I've been hosting this podcast, and again, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but the episodes I have done, I've gotten to talk to some really great band directors from all over the place that, again, have taught me to take care of myself, and just a ton of other really great ideas and things that I would never have thought of on my own that they brought to my attention, I think are really great ideas. So steal from the people that are doing really, really great things and sort of put it in the little cauldron that is your teaching soup and start to add that to what you do and make it work for you and your kids the best way you can. So yeah, don't stop learning and steal from those that are much smarter than you. Number 6 goes hand in hand with number 5. You need to teach your students to not need you as much. And this comes down to teaching them the components of playing and how to be smarter musicians, instead of just being spoon-fed information and being like, oh, that's the right answer. My students will tell you, I ask them a ton of questions. Hey, what did that sound like? Who missed the release? What did you hear? Why did I cut you off? All of these sorts of things so that they will start to think for themselves and be smarter musicians. The smarter of a musician you are, the better you're going to be and the faster you're going to get better at your instrument in the long run. So the more I can make them independent, especially at a time when I can't be with them as much as I want to be, it'll help the band program, it'll help me, it'll help them and start to mature them. My first semester band kids have grown exponentially since arriving to me, just that independence. And knowing that if they set their mind to it, they can do just about anything. And I firmly believe that. Just depends on how much hard work and dedication you put into it. So I'll leave a list of those components of playing down in the description, and you can have a look at those, as well as sort of how to describe musicality. Those have been 2 really great tools I've been using to like educate my students this semester, especially in how to start thinking more like a very smart musician. Number 7. Never, ever, ever stop learning, dreaming, and innovating with yourself as a band director, but with your band program as well. I like to tell my kids as they graduate, like, when you come back, things are not going to be the same as when you left. And you should be happy that it's that way, because I'm going to keep learning and keep getting better and keep trying new things to keep progressing the band program forward. Great saying my high school band director always used to say, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. So just I'm going to keep trying to innovate and keep dreaming and keep pushing the boundaries and keep asking for things and try to take us to the next level after the next level after the next level, and trying to make us the band program that students want to be a part of, and just to reach our maximum potential, which is kind of like a paradox of perfection, which we might talk about a little bit later. So stick around to the end of the video for that one. Don't get so stuck in your ways, all right? Keep branching out. Don't get comfortable. Don't stop learning, innovating, dreaming, and I said learning already. Right, okay, moving on. Speaking of things that I stole from somebody else, Freshman interviews are an awesome tool, right? Especially in time we've got Zoom and you can do virtual interviews and nobody has to show up anywhere. Taking about 15 minutes for each freshman, do it over the course of a few days, a few weeks, and just asking them about things that aren't related to band has been super helpful to my band program. It has allowed me to understand students that I thought were a little more on the troubled side. You know, why are they this way? What are their actions about? And getting to understand what makes them tick. And I like to say this all the time, you can't teach kids you don't know. So makes it so much better. They know that you care about them, which is so true, but it really helps the next 4 years, right? It expedites that process and makes it so that you know them as a human being and less of just a kid that's in your class, right? And what do you have in common, right? Can you make video game references to this kid? Can you talk about Star Wars with this kid and he understands? You know, all these different things, and it's really great to just know these things. So have a list of questions, talk about them, discuss them, about 15 minutes over Zoom, interview all your freshmen over the course of however many weeks it takes you, depending on the size of your band program. I couldn't recommend it enough, just showing how much you care. And I think without saying anything, it'll really tell them that, again, you really do care about them. Number 9, completely random, but I figured out you can stream directly to the band app. And the band app is something, if you haven't figured it out, it's like a green, I'll put it on screen for you right now. But you can live stream to that. Your kids sign up for it. It's like your own little social media just for your band groups. You can send out notifications and all that sort of stuff. But great way to communicate and get information out. And like I have my section leader chat in there. I can talk to section leaders, drum majors. Oh, it's really great. You should really check it out and experiment with it. I love it. This year I figured out that you can live stream to it using like the OBS software if you've got the hardware for that or you know how to do it. I'm a very big tech guy, and as you can tell, I do YouTube. And live stream on here, so I was like, well, that would be cool. I'm live streaming to the app, which, by the way, you can access from a computer or the app, so you don't always have to just hope the kids have a cell phone or something. But yeah, you can live stream directly to the app in a specific group, so that, you know, if you want to like play some old drum corps shows for educational purposes for your kids, you're not gonna have to worry about copyright. Because it's for educational use, and again, it goes away after it's live streamed after a certain amount of time, and yeah, it's super useful. In fact, we've used it just like I talked about building community. We've played Among Us together, just streamed from my PC to the band app, so I could live stream it. The code would pop up, my voice could be heard. And it was just a lot of fun to get the kids together and rotate them out, and I'll have the chance to be an imposter against their band director. You should try it sometimes. If you have any idea what I'm talking about, give it a shot. Loads of fun. Great opportunity. Moving right along. The next one's kind of sad, but so very true, and I think the sooner you understand it, the better. In previous iterations of this series, I have talked about making sure you're likable and you're pleasant to work with. Super crucial, because everyone in the music world is connected. It's really all about who you know. If you want to do something or go somewhere, it's about who you know, who you're friends with, and who you have connections through, right? You don't want to be the person that was terrible to work with when your name is brought up because you accidentally weren't great to work with X, Y, or Z, or this person. You want to make sure, I'm not saying be fake, I'm saying just make sure that you are careful about what you say, who you are around people that, I mean, they could not be anybody today, but could be somebody powerful tomorrow. So make sure, it's all about who you know. So get to know people. If you go to a conference of any kind, a professional development conference, or if you're at, you know, a marching band competition or a championship, like, make sure you say hi, get to know some people at the hospitality tent or in the conference hall, and don't be afraid to say hi. In summary, for number 10, work hard, be likable, and get to know people in power. All right, number 11, let's talk about the paradox of perfection. You've waited, here it is. This is something I teach my students that makes so much sense, but I don't think it's ever verbalized enough. My goal in life is to be the perfect high school band director. That's it. I wake up every morning and I chase after that goal every single day that I go to work. Is it ever possible to attain that goal? Realistically, no. But the act of chasing that goal makes me a much better band director each and every day. Again, I never stop working or learning, dreaming, or innovating. Take that approach to your students with instruments, right? Will we ever play a piece of music absolutely perfectly? The answer is no. However, if we wake up every day trying to achieve that goal, working towards that goal, we will get better and get pretty darn close. We will make some results happen. So, the paradox of perfection. Will we ever get there? No, but chasing after it means we get closer and closer each and every attempt. The other story I like to tell in relation to the paradox of perfection is the one push-up story. New Year's Day is coming up, so this is a great analogy. If my New Year's resolution is to do 100 push-ups every day, and I start on January 1st and I do 100 push-ups and barely squeak them out, and I'm like, my arms hurt, but I did it, day one, done. I probably couldn't even lift my hand up, let's be real. Then we get to day 2, and I'm like, time to do 100 push-ups again, and you're just like dreading it. You're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be terrible. So you end up skipping it probably that day because you procrastinate and you just, it was awful and you just don't wanna do it. But imagine, rewind a second, your New Year's resolution is not to do 100 push-ups, but to do 1 push-up every single day. So we get to January 1st, and I do 1 push-up. Wow, that was easy. I guess while I'm down here, I feel stupid, I'll just do like 2 more. Oh, I exceeded my goal, wow. You wake up the next day. You'd feel insulted if you did not do 1 push-up because it's such an easy goal. So you just boop, and then you're down there, you're like, I might do like 3 more today. Exceeded the goal, or boop, I did 1. Had enough time for that, right? You're checking off and you're feeling good about getting those results. You're like, okay, results. Exceeded the goal. Goal. And in the end, you'll be stronger than the person that set out to do 100 push-ups, did it one day, and didn't do it for the rest of the year or very infrequently. The 100 push-up guy will do it once and then probably never do it again, whereas you're doing a little bit each day and maybe exceeding your goal multiple days in a row. So that's super crucial to feeling successful and also seeing results over time. Band is all about delayed gratification. I relate this to practicing, right? Am I going to practice 100 hours or am I going to practice 1 hour? Am I going to practice for 1 hour or am I going to practice for 15 minutes in the commercials of Hulu? You're doing better off if you practice correctly in between for 15 minutes during Hulu commercials versus the guy that said he's going to practice for an hour but never gets around to it. And you do that consistently, right? It's the same sort of thing. Cramming for a test. Been there, done that. It works for information sometimes. It's not recommended for long-term knowledge. I don't remember half of the stuff that I crammed when I was cramming for tests. It doesn't work that way for music. Your directors could tell, you can tell when your students don't have enough prep time. They can't cram. So make sure you're teaching them the 1 push-up method. It works if you don't have time. Now, would it be great if everybody could put in an hour every day? It'd be fantastic. But something is better than nothing. You're lapping everybody on the couch if you can go out for a walk or a run that day, even if it's not very much. I don't know if this needs to be said, but in relation to the freshman interviews and everything that we do, and I hope that you're in this for the right reason, but we are in the people business, y'all. There's my Southern for you. We are teaching music, but we should be teaching life skills through music and honestly caring and being compassionate and kind towards our students. Like, we are in the people business. We want students to be able to trust us, not only with telling them the truth about how they rehearse, but just like in life overall. If I am giving you advice, but I'm a terrible band director and don't care about you, you're not going to care about that advice or the feedback that I'm giving you. So I'm not saying you need to sugarcoat everything and that you don't need to show tough love to some individuals sometimes, but make sure you realize and are reminded that you're in the people business, and it's super important that you take care of the people in your band program, and that includes yourself, but make sure you're reaching out and checking up on everybody. This one's huge. We didn't get to have a huge event this year, but this is something that I don't think made it into part 2. I have hosted all district band auditions. This will be the 2nd year. Last year was the 1st year. This year's online, last year was not, all that aside though. Whenever you finish a big event, whether that be hosting a marching band competition or hosting all district auditions, a concert, whatever it is, when you're done with the event, like the night of, you need to sit down for 5 minutes as a band director and write down everything that you have learned or could go better, or the way you want, like things you want to remember for the next year. Because I can't tell you, especially with this break, with the pandemic, just how much I'll probably have forgotten from my first marching band competition. However, I did write things down after my first hosting of the all-district band auditions. So I have that sheet, and I'm ready to go for when we do in-person auditions again for things that need to improve. And I'm gonna do that every year so that it makes it easier on me, that again, always learning and innovating and getting better, even at the stuff that is not the most exciting, which is paperwork and, you know, hosting all of these things. So again, write things down, take 5 minutes after hosting an event or anything that's big and difficult, and it'll make the next time around that much easier. All right, 14, quality over quantity. I've seen so many teachers this year, especially in the online format, we're all giving more assignments than we ever probably have, just because we have to show that the kids are doing something. But make sure as band directors, we're not assigning so many things just to assign things. And I guess this is true of any teaching position or any subject, but especially because I'm talking to band directors out there. Make sure you're not just, that you're looking for quality work versus quantity of work, right? I may assign one assignment for that week, but I expect X, Y, and Z out of that assignment, right? So if I'm going to assign scales, I may not assign a tempo that they have to play it at. I just say, pick a tempo that works for you and make sure the notes have good tone quality, this, that, or the other, especially teaching some freshman groups. Making sure that they have, making it sound good is like number one priority, and then we can worry about boosting up the tempo or playing it in a pattern and memorizing it and all of these other things. So make sure you're not like, and do these scales, and play this excerpt, and do this, and it's all due this day, right? Quality over quantity. And that also goes into what your students are attempting to do when you're explaining to them. Make sure you're like, I don't care how much you can do, I care the quality of what you do. If you can play the entire range of your instrument and it sounds awful and there is no tone quality whatsoever, that's quantity, and I don't really care. But if you can only play the middle register of your instrument and it sounds absolutely spectacular, that's great. We can start working on taking those fundamental skills and building up your range, right? But if you already have bad habits and you're playing all around the instrument terribly, like, it's going to be much harder to go back, break those habits, and then you're going to have to extend your range again because it's probably not going to be exactly the same. So, quality over quantity, always. That being said, I also program my concerts in that sort of way. I remember my first winter concert last year when we had, no social distancing and everything was normal. We only did 3 tunes, and they were done well, and the concert was over in about 30 minutes for this beginning sort of band, right? That was mostly freshmen. But imagine if I had said we were going to do 5 pieces, they would not have sounded nearly as good as they did for being a mostly freshman in that group. So I did quality over quantity. I'm more impressed by someone that can play Mary Had a Little Lamb with perfect tone quality than I am with someone that can play Shostakovich 10 with really terrible sounds. Number 15, as a band director, do not be afraid to admit when you're wrong. I'll admit it. I've been doing a lot of one-on-one lessons with students this year because that's the nature of where we are in the pandemic, and I have really learned a lot. But I have been telling my clarinets to do something completely wrong for the longest time and wondering why they sounded a particular way in a particular place. So I learned during some professional development at state conference a particular way to do something to really help clarinets and their tone quality and the way they perform and make sounds easier. And it was like a light bulb. And I told them, I was like, guys, I'm so sorry that I told you the wrong thing for so long, and thank you for trusting me. We're going to keep getting better at this together. There's been no backlash from that. I don't see how being honest with your students in that sort of fashion can really backfire at all. In fact, I think that makes you more human and more genuine, and they're more likely to listen to you in your future advice. So don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong to your kids. All right, the next point is something that I think I absolutely love about band, although if you ask me in the moment, I'd probably say no. But I am a problem solver. Is something going wrong with, the way why do you sound this way on your instrument if you're playing? Why is this happening? What note am I hearing in that portion of the ensemble that's making this all out of tune and not work? Like, I'm a problem solver, and I think that's a huge part of being a band director, and I enjoy it. That being said, creative problems require creative solutions. Do you live in an area that, band isn't as funded as, let's say, some of the bigger areas like Texas or anywhere else? Okay, well, how do you supplement those funds and make it so that your kids get those awesome opportunities? Maybe not to the grandeur of the Texas bands or Indiana or wherever, but how do you give them a meaningful experience that means something? Again, quality over quantity. Look, it comes back. And giving them that sort of experience. Other things, when the pandemic hit, how did you provide for your students? For me, it was trying not to overwhelm them, but still making it appear like, hey, we're gonna fight, and we're still gonna fight for this program, and giving them social opportunities to get together virtually, whether that be hanging out and playing Among Us on the band app together with friends, whether that be a Zoom call that has nothing to do with class material. I had a Zoom class that was just band room hangout because no one got to hang out before or after school in the band room. So we would get on and we would all talk as if we were in a band room together after school, hanging out and talking about stuff. Just little things like that can really go a long way. And the best part is if you can get your student leadership to come up with it, they'll be much more invested in it. And it's just great growth for everybody because they'll have ideas that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, or fun ideas for their generation versus yours, right? So again, creative problems require creative solutions. Maybe you don't have a whole prop building team. Do you have any other unique attributes to your school that could maybe help you build those props? Thinking outside the box will save you a ton. What works for some people may not work for you, so get creative, start problem solving. And again, creative problems require creative solutions. And don't give up. Speaking of not giving up, make sure you keep fighting for the program that you envision, right? You have this idea of where you want the program to keep going and keep going and keep innovating and dreaming and all this stuff. But there's going to be a lot of people, whether that be, superintendent, administration, community, parents, even the kids sometimes, that they can't see what you're seeing in your head, where you want to go. And so it's make sure that you are being patient with those people. You're teaching them slowly your idea for what the band program should be, and that you are still, despite all of them, fighting for the program that you want to have. That goes back to dreaming and innovating and learning. But making sure you get good at communicating what it is you want the band program to look like, and the sort of atmosphere surrounding it. Sometimes you'll arrive at a program and the band's always been this way, and you want them to be seen in this way, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time, but make sure you never stop working towards slowly getting people on board with the band program that you want to see, and how it is received by the community and the parents and the administration, superintendent, and everybody. So, doesn't happen overnight, but just know that everybody is fighting the good fight, and that no job is perfect, despite what you may see from the outside. Keep fighting in where you are for what you want to happen. And I think eventually, if you're fighting for the right things, they'll happen. It just may take longer than some of the other things, but keep going and keep working for your kids. And last but not least, dear future band directors, please cherish the little moments. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a card that has said thank you, or a little note, or a cute little painting, or a note card written to me, or a sticky note, or something that where a kid has just said thank you. Thank you for all you do. I know that not a lot of people have said this or whatever, but I just want to say how much I appreciate you. Or even maybe they didn't write anything. A lot of kids, I know me, I was never one to ever like get super, I know it's hard to believe now, but never like get outwardly and be like, thank you so much. I was always kind of awkward in that regard growing up. It was hard for me to express true gratitude. It was always kind of surface level. But sometimes, just like me, it's hard for kids to express that, and it's kind of the way their actions kind of tell you more than anything. I won't forget, in addition to the thank yous, but the little moments like, who would have thought we would take concerts for granted? And we do, and we miss them so much now. But I remember the last day before we were sent home, before the pandemic began, the symphonic band had just finished assessment, grade superior ratings, everything was great. We were celebrating. We had just also had the Music in Our Schools performance the night before, and they did fantastic. And I remember sitting at the back of the room and watching the kids do what they do, like towards the end of class, and I just kind of took it in. And I'll never forget, it's like my brain took a picture, that I'll never forget that last day, because it was the little things that made up the big things, to cherish those moments. And I could not be more, I'm so thankful for that time that we had, and I'll never forget. So cherish those little moments, because you don't really get a do-over. Cherish the little things, from the thank yous to the small tokens of gratitude, to the actions of students, to just taking a step back and looking at the little things that most people wouldn't think anything about, but mean the world out of context. And that's all I got. I'm in the middle of year 3. Maybe things will be kind of normal when we get over into year 4, but I'm excited that this has become a yearly series. So we expect that's about halfway through the year, so around the end of the year is when I usually release these. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you just can't get enough of my face or me talking about band and being a band director, go ahead and click subscribe and like this video. I don't have a release schedule. This is not my full-time job. I'm a band director, so I get out videos when I can, especially on breaks if I'm feeling like it, if I'm not completely run down. So I think we've got one more video coming out before the break is over, and I think it's a little different, but I think you're gonna like it. And again, I'm super thankful for you. I hope this has helped you out in some way, shape, or form. And if you ever need anything, just leave me a comment down below if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to help you out. Remember, I don't know everything, but I'm letting you know what I do know. And I guess until next time, we'll catch you guys later.